Hey, you wild ladies. I am back for another episode. This one is all about a question I get asked all the time. But before we begin, I want to just say, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will laugh because I'm exhausted. I just drove back from Vancouver. It's about a 4.5 hour drive. And I actually had a couple other interviews stacked for this afternoon that just had to be rescheduled. Not me. It was actually on them. But funny enough is this energy that I'm in right now, it's driving 4.5 hours through the mountains all alone because I hosted an incredible dinner last night with some other women at the Conscious Lab in Vancouver with my friend Jenna. It's like this energy that I don't think I would have been introduced to, let alone think it was an opportunity or possibility for me had I not been married to my husband, Dan, because he's the one that sets the energy precedence in our household. My default, get this, is a homebody. My default is avoiding people. My default is being at home, reading a book, working on business, hanging out with my kids. I don't know, cleaning up the house. I love organizing and I'm not afraid and not ashamed to say it. But anyway, being with my husband for now 15 years, he's taught me so much about getting outside your comfort zone. And also, what a gentle reminder it is to be with a person who reminds you every day of the possibility of what it's like to actually live. Are we really living? Living is like getting up, pressing the snooze button, I don't know, going to the gym and coasting through the day, but actually living. The best memories that I have in my life, and probably the best memories you have too, are from those moments when you actually did something a little bit different, when you got outside your comfort zone, when you exhausted yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit. Like last night, I got into bed at 10:30 p.m. I don't think I was able to fall asleep till after 11, and I ate a late dinner. This was from hosting this incredible dinner party. And then I had to get up early to drive to Vancouver, or to drive home to Kelowna. And let me tell you, I am exhausted. Old me would have just been like, hey, let's go to bed. Let's go lay down. Let's go put our feet up, maybe read a book. Who knows? So I wanted to bring this up because I get asked this question a lot. I want to say probably 20 times in the last couple of years. The question that keeps coming up is, Renee, how do you do it? When I stand there beside my man at his events, or when we're traveling together, or when he gets spotted in the wilds because he's becoming more and more recognized, they ask, how do you do it? And it's really hard to answer that question because the context is coming from that person's situation. Women ask me this, men ask me this, mothers ask me this, other female entrepreneurs. And I want to say, I think I know what they're asking. And I wanted to share this on here because there might be some food for thought for you and something that might help motivate you in a certain part of your life or through your business or through your health journey, whatever it is. But first of all, I want to dissect what they mean by how do you do it. I had to think about this, and luckily I had a 4.5 hour drive to help me through this. So first of all, I am just opening up my notes here. The question is, so if you don't know who my husband is, he wrote the book, Buy Back Your Time. His name's Dan Martell. He has, in the last couple of years, surpassed 1 million followers, 1 million subscribers on Instagram, on YouTube. He's got almost 100,000 followers on LinkedIn and growing. He's spoken on Tony Robbins' stage, on Andy Frisella's stage. He's been on all the top podcasts and so many other stages, and recognized by a lot of people. And now he's like the go-to for some of these really affluent, influential people in the business world. And for the people that are new to our lives, they think that this may have happened overnight. And I know, I've been with him for 15 years, so I know the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. So I think what people are asking when they say, how do you do it, is that they see his trajectory of growth. And some people who don't know me don't know that I'm also an entrepreneur, an author, and I have this show, and I have my event, the Pink Script Project. I sold my agency. I was a breadwinner for a small period of time in our lives when our kids were babies. but I think that they just don't see what I have accomplished myself. And my assumption is that they see this growth in this person, and this might be true for you in a relationship too. And people just expect that you've stayed the same, that you've stayed the course, that you just keep doing the same thing you've done for 15 years. And that's not true. Factually, and Dan and I talk about this all the time, is he could not at all, without a shadow of doubt, be able to accomplish the things that he has done without that me being this anchor, this stability, this safe place to come home to, knowing that the house is set, the kids are fed, everyone's healthy and happy, and like things are organized. But I think fundamentally, knowing that I'm his biggest cheerleader, knowing that I trust what he's doing, I trust the bigger mission, I trust the vision, and that I'm in support of it, and I love it. This used to not always be the case. It used to not always be the case when I was never jealous in these moments, but I was always curious. I did worry for a while, thinking he's going to get so big and famous that he's going to forget about me and forget about the kids. The opposite happened. He actually started coming home to us more and more because there's just more people and new people, and it's beautiful the impact he has. But he realized in these moments that he also needs to take his foot off the gas and be home with us more and like celebrating these wins. So going back to what I really do think people are asking when I answer the question, Renee, how do you do it? I am going to answer it in different ways depending on people's circumstances. So one of the ways I think people are asking me this question is, how do you maintain your own identity? Well, I'm just me. I've always been me. I'm very authentically me. And I don't really give in to the peer pressure of trying to be somebody I'm not. I did that for too long. It burnt me out. I was the go-to PR girl, and I ran agencies. And while I loved the people I worked with, I did not love the work. And I did for a small fraction of my life. But for the most part, it wasn't something that I enjoyed doing because it was just so consuming. So when I actually started really understanding who I was, and this was like in the past probably 2 years, 3 years, but I would say like the last year and a half was really like the full circle moments of me realizing who I am and me double clicking on that and not letting anybody else try to convince me otherwise. And so being married to somebody like this, I was never afraid of losing my identity. I knew it was going to shift, as it always should, as it always will. We always need to be changing and evolving, and so does your identity, and that's okay. So I was never worried that I would be overshadowed by him. And how I preserve my own sense of self and purpose is doing my own thing, like this show, like my event coming up, June 12th, the Pink Skirt Project, like the other things that I'm working on. I don't have to do this because there's no forcing function for me to have to go and earn an income. And I feel very privileged in that position because I know that's not the case for everybody. I'm very aware of that. And that is a big reason why I do the show and when I'm doing my event. But to maintain my own identity, I think is the thing that actually makes us stronger. Because I can't imagine being something that I am not. Like, I have the utmost respect for stay-at-home moms, and I've tried it and it wasn't for me. Quite frankly, it's one of the toughest jobs in the world. And there are some people that are just made for that role. And I think it's beautiful. I didn't want to do that, although that was presented. That was presented to me saying, hey, maybe you can do this. You can be a stay-at-home mom, or you don't have to worry about working or doing anything. I want to do these things. And so that was the big thing, is just following my dreams and not taking my foot off the gas. The other question I think people are really asking when they ask this question is there a power imbalance? I've never considered that. I think there was a responsibility imbalance for a while there when things in our relationship were at friction, when we were both so busy growing our businesses and the babies were still young. There was definitely that responsibility imbalance, but never a power imbalance. And if those moments did present themselves, we absolutely nipped it in the bud during our weekly meetings. So any issues that came up. So the question too about the power imbalance is that people are curious about our relationship dynamics, especially when one person is gaining a lot of recognition. So how do we navigate those decisions? How do we navigate priorities? And the respect in a relationship with different levels of public visibility makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like we created our own internal playbooks for what can and should be shared, what is allowed to be shared. We have boundaries around what can be shared about our kids, all this stuff. Like even traveling, I'm not to share my location if I'm traveling alone in a city until after I've come back from the trip. It's like when you create the rules and the parameters in a relationship, there shouldn't ever be a power struggle. And even bigger yet, and I'm going to come back to this again, but even bigger yet is when you're in a relationship and you can get both people on the same page for being teammates and seeing that it's not about who's earning more or who's working more or who's doing it harder or who's got it harder. Because when you see the finish line and you're in it together as a team, like a relay race, in a relay, that will do like the 100, oh no, it's like the 400 meter relay. So that everybody has to run 100 meters. I think that's what it is. There are people that run faster than the other people. And if you want to win the race, everyone has to run fast, but sometimes you'll get the anchor relay person who takes the baton, ends up being the person that just blows past everybody. And there are just different levels of fast, different levels of like, who's the fastest one off the block? Who's the best one transitions around the corner? Who's the best one for the last 100 meters? Like people have the things that they're good at. And you can't create these balances in terms of what is worth more, because at the end of the day, when you're a team, it's not you versus me or us versus them. It's we're together. Then everything else just kind of makes sense. I see so many relationships where maybe somebody is like losing weight, getting fit, or making more money, or finally got that promotion, and the partner is jealous. It could be even in business relationships. So the jealousy is actually a trigger. It's a call for that person, maybe you, to hold up a mirror and saying, what is it about this person or this situation that is triggering me? Because that is something that is a work that you have to do. Very deeply, the work that you have to do on yourself, your triggers, and I'm going to actually record an episode about this. Your triggers are just a signal for you to do the work on this thing. So if you have a best friend who's losing weight and they're happier and healthier and you're jealous of them, maybe it's because you want to lose weight or you want to be happier and healthier because they have something that you don't, or they have the motivation or the discipline that you don't. And so instead of cheering them on, you're trying to pull them back. Don't be that person. Or maybe you're the opposite, where you're growing and you have a husband or a wife or even a child at home or a business partner or a friend that does not like the positive change that they see in you because they're jealous. They're triggered by something that they want and they can't achieve. So the power imbalance, there were probably times, and I don't remember them, but the way it stands today is like, I see him thrive and he sees me thrive and we support each other. At the end of the day, it's like we're all trying to create a difference. We're trying to create impact and be excellent examples of parents for our boys. The other thing I think people are asking is, do you resent the sacrifices? Potentially. There could have been a time in my life that I absolutely resented the sacrifices, the late nights, the travel, the him being gone for 2 weeks when I was with the boys, when they were babies, and I was trying to grow my business and interview people to work for me and make clients happy and get me to hits, like all these things. The sacrifices, I think, were worth it in the end, now that I'm kind of on that other side. But then there's more. Like there's more roadblocks that come up. There are more fences that come up. And sometimes these things are bigger deals. But where you can stand in conviction with your partner, you know you can get through it together. So like growth pains, it's a real thing in business. And sometimes when you think, God, we just got out of that sludgy, muddy stage of business and it finally feels good and it's felt good for 2 weeks and now we're faced with this crap again. Well, you need to become a better person to get through that next stage. And you can only keep growing if you keep working on yourself to do that. the sacrifices were unreal. The moving across the country, the me moving to like a town I didn't know a single person while pregnant for Max, our first kid, in a city that Dan was raised, where Dan had all the friends and he had all the connection, he had his family, and I knew zero people. That was tough. That was a sacrifice. But I trusted what we were working on. I trusted and had faith in what the outcome would finally be. It also wasn't that hard. That his family was amazing, is amazing. But some of the other sacrifices are like just our lifestyle. We had to let go of old identities. We had to let go of old ways of thinking, of believing, of doing things in order to become who we are right now. So the sacrifices is like the shedding of these old beliefs and values, which also meant the shedding of old relationships, which also meant the evolution of conversations that we were having with people and who we let into our orbit. And how did I process these moments of sacrifice? In those moments, I had a lot of resentment. And what is resentment, ladies? Resentment are triggers. And triggers are simply just mirrors being held up to you. And it's showing you where the work needs to be done. And I have very few of these triggers anymore. The other question I think people are asking is, what's the real cost? So like beyond the logistics, what's the true emotional and personal toll of sharing a life with someone when the mission and work demands so much? How do you measure what it has given up against what you've gained? So I just don't measure that stuff, to be honest with you. What's the cost? I don't think of it as a cost. I think of it as an investment. When I see him traveling a lot, when I see him on all these stages, and when he's not home a lot because he is traveling, it always comes back 10x better than it was when he left. That includes our relationship. That includes our life. That includes the stories we get to share. I love that time apart because we can come back and just gab about the cool people we met and the cool things that we did. So the real cost, I think, is just the real investment is being okay with the chaos and being okay with change. It's damn worth it. The other thing people ask is, how do I handle the attention he receives? And this comes in the format of, Renee, does this happen a lot? Renee, you must be getting used to this, because we'll be in the middle of nowhere, and literally in the middle of like the back rice fields in Bali, and he gets recognized. I hated it at first. I hated it at first because, when I come to really think about it, why did I not like that? Is because I felt like there was attention on me and I wasn't ready for that. And it had nothing to do with me. Now I just love it. Sometimes I'm like, I see the dynamic of the conversation of the person saying, oh my gosh, it's Dan, can we chat? And I'll just step back and I'll let them have their conversation. Sometimes Dan will pull me in. Sometimes the person will pull me in. There's been more and more situations where people are saying, oh my gosh, it's Renee. Can I get a picture with you? Which is cool. It's also very humbling because my perspective of people that have influence, and this is an old belief of mine, not now, was that they were either born with it or they deserved it, or that they were doing something so crazy to change the world in a positive way. So when people are a little bit shy to meet me, or they think of me as someone with influence, and maybe I am, it's really interesting because I don't see me the way they see me, and I have to respect that for them, but also know immediately when I start talking with them, their guards are down. They're at ease, because that's what I do. I dismantle people's, I disarm people's defense. That is one of my superpowers. So how do I handle? It's understanding that we have to approach life a little bit differently, of who we share private information with, who's on our team, who are our financial team and our health team, the conversations we have with people, the people that are in our lives. So the attention he receives is really important because now there's more and more people watching, and what I share online becomes more and more important because this now goes into reputation. So even this podcast. Like, I don't know, there could be something on here that I say that it's misconstrued. I get that. But going back to like understanding any sacrifices or any real costs or any jealousy, it's like, I'm here to just say the truth about the situation. I'm here to just talk like I'm your sister from next door and we're meeting over coffee. And I want you to see the behind the scenes, the insights, the stories of what it's like to live this life. And let me tell you, it's not like that special in a way. I know it's like dreamy for some, but I always think of it like I'm going to be a completely different person to be able to drive supercars and fly private jets and travel the world. It's fancy, but I'm still me. I am still me. I still have the same anxieties, the same worries. I still lose sleep over things. I'm still me. And that's why I find it so refreshing to be around women who do get a little bit nervous around me. Because I just want people to know, like from the bottom of my heart, I want people to know that everybody is worthy of a lifestyle that they want to live. That is why I put on the Pink Skirt Project. That's why I'm creating this movement, is that we all deserve to redefine success, whatever success is to you. Another thing I think people ask is, what is your secret superpower? And I said it. It is disarming people of their anxiety. It's making them feel at ease in my space, that they can approach me. It's making women believe in themselves, knowing that there's a ton of crab sandwiches that we are going to eat as entrepreneurs, as mothers, as partners. And every crab sandwich might get bigger, but you get better at eating them. Ew, I just visioned that. And my superpower is just recognizing that we all have this ability to create impact in our lives, big, small, medium, and we all have a mission. We all have a mission. A lot of us are denying that mission. We all have this intuition. We all have these things that we know we're supposed to do, people we're supposed to lead. And I want to bring that to the forefront of every woman's internal dialogue. I want the stories that they're telling themselves to be the ones that are actually pushing them through to their greatness and not stopping them. Another question I know that is part of this question is, Renee, how do you do it? Is, am I capable of this? Am I capable of this too? So the question really is the person asking, are they capable of living that life? And my question back to them is, do you really want it? Because we talk about this all the time. The sacrifices, the change of lifestyle, the comments. The thing about being more exposed in the world is you're more exposed to people who are in pain. And it's the people who are hurt and suffering that are the ones that leave those stupid comments. It's the people that have the cat pictures with numbered handles, like Amy2316 with a cat picture. Like, your opinion, I don't care, actually. But it does hurt. And what hurts the most is when you get these negative comments from people that love you or that you love or that you think are friends. But to be capable of this too, I think it's possible for everybody. The question that I have for them is, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to show up every single day, to put yourself out there? Are you willing to have those tough conversations when you have to let people go or fire people? Or when you're faced with a week worth of no's and rejections? Like, do you get up on Monday morning and keep going? That is like, you're capable of doing it if you can keep doing that. Most people aren't. I'd say the majority of the people aren't willing to do it. They're not willing to actually work on themselves, to change the narrative in their minds, to keep going. Another question that I know comes with this is, what does it feel like to be the woman behind the man? I think for a long time, I felt like the woman behind the man. So going back to the idea of like being his shadow, I think there were instances of it very early on. But more and more, not only am I recognizing my participation in this life that we've created and the impact that we're having, but other people are too. And it actually feels lovely. It feels lovely to just, when you have somebody in your life that you love so deeply and you see them thrive, it's the most rewarding thing in the world. Like, when your kid comes home and like your 5-year-old kid and they're talking about how like Sally and Susie and them made the best castle at the beach and they're so happy. You love that so much for them. You don't care about the sandcastle, but you care about that happiness, the joy that they have. When I see him come home with all this joy, it just fills up my love tank. And the same with him. He even tells my friends, he's like my co-host for the Pink Skirt Project, Anita Parker. He told her, he's like, Anita, I love how Renee is when you're around. So be around more. Same with my friend Jacqueline Robertson from Okanagan Lifestyle. It's like these women make me happier. They bring more joy to my life. So that the joy, I'm trying to circle this back to what it's like to be the woman behind the man. I don't know that I ever feel like I'm behind him. I'm beside him. And as of late, he's been putting me in front of him, which is also pretty cool. But also know it's like, if we had this energy of you versus me or me versus you, I would not like this feeling. I would not. But knowing that we're in this team together, we're on this team together and we're in it to win it, then it's like, people might think I'm behind him, but really I'm beside him holding his hand all the way. Something that comes up often is, how do you protect your family from public scrutiny? Well, we do have privacy boundaries. So we have things that keep evolving, but growing even more serious. And that's okay. That just comes with the game. And we are willing to put up all of these defenses in order to protect ourselves and our family and our lives and our reputation. And believe me, there's been people that have come for our reputation. And that's just the name of the game. It's the name of the game. The better you can get at taking scrutiny, the better you can become at taking those like negative comments or people really trying to tear you down, the easier everything else gets. And also, when there's so much of it, after a while, you just don't see it. And it just starts bouncing off of you. You're just like, oh, there's another comment or there's another passive aggressive remark. It's like, you're commenting because something about this triggered you, or you're saying something because potentially this is something that you need to do for yourself. So I think hate and hate comments are just a terrible way for people to scream that they're in pain and they need help. Okay. And then last question that I think people are asking is, how does your own ambition ever take a back seat? Yes, 100%. Yes. I'm not going to deny myself. I was going to say no, but absolutely my ambition has taken the back seat. Not always. It's been seasonal. We actually had a thing come up recently where I was launching a new coaching program and the team was overwhelmed with other stuff, some targets that they couldn't reach. And I recognized this, saying, let's not do this launch because this is just going to be busy work for some people. But it's not that it wasn't my ambition that took the back seat. It was this smart business move. I don't think that it takes a back seat now. And now that I actually think about this question about the ambition, it's like sometimes you have to prove yourself. And I went through a couple seasons of just like business flops, like making money, but nothing to write home about. And he stopped trusting me in that process. And so I had to make him believe that this podcast can be a thing. I had to make him believe that the event, Pink Skirt Project, was going to be a thing. And I proved to him, I have to prove to myself, because I believed it. When he was saying these things, it's like, I know, I need to step it up. So what it's like to actually carry the load in all of this, when it's all said and done, carrying the load of being the partner to somebody like Dan is like a sheer sense of responsibility. The responsibility in maintaining our reputation as a family, as a couple, protecting our privacy, making sure that our lives stay humbled and our kids stay kind and generous. Like that is what we want for our kids. We're wealthy and we don't want to give our kids handouts, but there are some instances when they get to do awesome things by nature of being our children. like traveling the world, because that's what we want to do. I'm not saying this to shove this in anybody's faces, right? So like the rich woman energy is the woman who's sitting there going, yeah, Renee, that's awesome. So episode 359, I believe, 358 was about rich women energy. Anytime I talk about fancy trips, nice house, nice cars, what I want you to know is that rich woman energy isn't a woman who's taking advantage of anybody, who isn't undermining any system, who isn't doing tax evasion or anything like that. Rich woman energy believes in abundance. She believes in what is right for herself, her family, her marriage, her community, her business, who gives back, who gets to a point where they can write $250,000 checks to charity. Rich women energy is good money in good hands doing great things. Okay. So the weight of the unseen responsibilities, I think, is where people are like clapping it up. Like, when you have a performer on stage, like think about the band Fleetwood Mac. I love Fleetwood Mac. And you probably know who that is. Who is the forefront singer for Fleetwood Mac? Stevie Nicks. Okay. But there's still a drummer. There's still a bassist. There's still Christine McVie, rest in peace, who used to play on the keyboard. Like there's people in the backstage also helping Stevie shine. They don't necessarily want to be in the spotlight. And so when you have these unseen responsibilities, it's like, I'm not taking Instagram videos every single second of every breakfast I make for my boys every morning. Every time I tell them it's their night to shower, to put on deodorant, to help them with their acne cream, to make sure their soccer gear is ready to go, to make sure their school bags are packed and their homework is done and they're at their soccer practice on time and they have their water bottles and they have their sunscreen on. I'm not going to share that because it's just assumed that that stuff's getting done. And I don't need trophies and I don't need a standing ovation for any of that work. What I do love is for women in all these roles, all these positions that are doing what we do, these unseen responsibilities, to get applauded. Because if it wasn't for somebody doing that work, whoever is the one that's in the spotlight could not get there without that support. I recognize that. So I know my participation. So when somebody comments, when I'm taking a video of me getting into the Porsche and somebody comments, Dan, why is Renee driving your car? Guess what? They have the wrong energy. They do not have the rich women energy. They're saying things like, that's your car, Dan. Why is she getting into it? No, I also earned that car. I earned that damn car. It's not the color I would have chosen. However, that being said, I love that podcast too, but just know that at the end of the day, I always say at the end of the day, I got to find a different way of saying this. It's all about teamwork. How I do it is realizing that I have a bigger role to play every single time we step up, every single time we step into the spotlight, every single time we share our stories, our adventures, we go on trips, every single time I'm trying to make bigger impact. I know the responsibility that I have, and I love it. I'm here for it. Today I'm exhausted. I'm triple fisting water, a shake, and coffee, and that's okay. But listen, if you have any questions about what it's really like, please direct message me on Instagram, Renee_Warren. Or if you want to meet me in person, don't forget to come hang out at the Pink Skirt Project in Kelowna, BC on June 12th. Until next time, ladies, peace out.